Okay, I got this rack for my CTX 700, and this is the DCT. I just got the rack, not the rest of this jazz. So I'm going to put it on there. I haven't seen any videos showing how to put one of these on, and in my opinion, this is the best looking rack made for this vehicle. I just barely picked this up 2 days ago in Missouri, drove it home to Utah in under 48 hours. Did 15 hours yesterday and 5 hours the day before, and then 2.5 today. I hit 2 major rainstorms, which really made it no fun. Anyway, first step, I popped off the seat. Now I'm going to take off all of these goodies. There are some good videos online. This one by Voth Quality is my favorite for removing the rear plastics. It goes through step by step, showing you everything you need to do. So I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on installation of the rack, since you can get this stuff here. Now this shows them putting the Honda parts on, which are slightly different from the Fehling ones. But, I mean, you can see the idea. It's pretty easy. So now we're looking at hooking into these two on both sides. And it's got to fit like this on either side. So you'll notice which one's got to go where. Now the nice thing is these holes are threaded, so that should fit in there pretty nice. And Fehling has threaded these holes too, just like those, so that's going to make things nice and easy too. And now we just got to find the right bolts to go in there. Fehling gives you a whole bunch of different bolts, so keep those someplace you won't lose them, like that one I just dropped. And then I'm going to set that where I won't lose it. I'm going short bolts on here because that's all that needs to go on there. On here there's going to be a little spacer that goes on, so I'm just going to use the longer ones there. And we'll see if that works. I got a bunch of washers, so I'm going to use them. I wish they were lock washers, but we'll see how this works. So I'm just going to go finger tight for now. Hoping you can see that. There. 2 short ones on this side. You might notice my sunburn. That's where 2 days ago my shirt did not quite cover my arm the way I hoped it would on my ride back from Missouri. So I did probably 300 miles in 111 degrees or something. It was outrageously hot and humid out there. Crossed Kansas and hit Denver. Denver was not quite as hot, but still pretty dang warm. And then I hit tons of bad weather up in the mountains. These are number 13s, 13 millimeter. Let's do the side here. Okay. Now we need to remove these to put these on in there. This is a number 10. I'll go ahead and break them loose on both sides and then loosen them up and place. Oops. Back has 2 big flat platforms there that don't fit in side. So you're going to want the big one so that it's up above the plastic and not cracking it or pushing down on it. There's a little spacer right there that's going to end up going on the back side so that it lines up with that angle, that pop down there. So you can see how that works. Okay, what they provide is a long one for this, and then a short one for this one, which happens to be the same length as the bolt that comes with the bike. So I'm going to use the bike's bolt just because. The difference between the two is Honda has made the hole an oval so that it can fit, and Fehling hasn't, so there's just not enough room and it needs to be filed wider, and unfortunately you can't quite line them up because of the way this thing is made to show you, but they are just ever so slightly off, which is very annoying. Okay, I'm lazy, so I'm going to use this little bit I have for my Dremel tool and see if it works. And I'm just going to try to buzz that edge back. I'm going to have to do that on both sides, but we'll see if that does it or not. So here we go. Just gonna loosely thread it on to see if we have the tolerance we need to make it work. Feels like I gotta go a little bit further. Yep. Oh, no, we might have it. We might have it. That might work. But boy, it is tight. So I'll put this one in. No, I guess it doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll buzz off just a little bit more since I can. See if I can make it fit. Super easy. Bolt with the washer and the spacer. And it should work easy as pie this time. Yes, it does. Too much. So I'm just smacking it till I feel safe. That is pretty dang solid though. So now we've got these and these little posts in place on both sides, and we're ready to put the plastics back on, which are pretty easy to pop in. I kind of slide these in first, then pop that one into place, and then these you just kind of wiggle until they pop in the way they're supposed to. Okay, here's a mistake. These have to be switched around the other way. They stick out too far this way if they're on this way. So they're going to look the same. This is just going to be flipped around on the inside. Okay, I've run into one problem putting it back together, and that is that these little tabs here, you see that? They weren't quite grabbing the way they should, and I'm having a really hard time getting the pin into that hole. And I couldn't figure it out. Everything was on right. Good, good, good. Up here's good. Why wasn't this working? Well, I took it off to take a look at it, and I noticed that this, I don't know if you can see that or not, this little switch here bumps into the metal piece and pushes this out of position. So I'm going to have to fiddle around, see if I can get that piece to come down a little bit. And I don't know what I'm going to need to do to get that right. Maybe grind off some of that. I'm not sure. I'm going to take a look at that now before I put it back on, because I want it to all fit together flush, and if it isn't, then crap and debris can get up in here easier than it should, and I don't want stuff up in here. Okay, it looks like the solution to this thing, this isn't coming in contact with it. It's this. So I unhooked this, which is easy. You just pinch it down here and it releases. And then I'm using one of these little Velcro ties to hold it up out of the way. I don't want it vibrating around, but I do need it out of the way there. So we'll see if that actually does the job for allowing these holes to clip in the way they need to. I'm going to try that right now. Okay. Problem seems to be that I can't get that outer plastic, the silver part, which you can't see now, that part on the other side won't shift down because, let's see if I can show it to you, this is too far the wrong way. So that's actually what the problem is. It's just like a millimeter off. So I'm thinking I might need to buzz the edge of it down so I can get that hole to line up. We'll see if that works. Okay, there's two problems. So I did need to grind this down, but also, I don't know if I can show this to you or not, the back of this thing interferes, or this interferes with it, and that's also what's causing me a problem. So I'm going to need to buzz off the edge of that too to make this fit, or maybe I'll clip it and just let it fold up. But that's a problem also. So very frustrated after all was said and done. I'm not able to get it to fit the way it's supposed to and stay. It just eventually pops out. So I don't know if that's more pressure because of this thing. There's not much space around it. I ended up modifying it pretty heavily around those edges, and still in about 5 minutes this thing's just going to pop out. Yep, there it goes. So that's as good as I can get it. Man, it's such a good looking rack. It's so frustrating. It's just not lining up right. Very frustrating. I'm going to have to do some serious bending to get all four of these to line up. As it is, these two are super tight, like barely fitting in there. And then let me show you the problem we got down here. If my battery doesn't run out. Look at that. I mean, I'm going to have to like really, I mean, it's not even this edge fits on there, so it's way off, which is frustrating because everything about this rack was pretty dang exciting to me. So what should be like a 20-minute install is going to take a lot more work because it's just not made to line up the way it should, which is a real shame. Well, very frustrating. After grinding away to make some space in between those, heating it up and melting some of the coverage, I got all 5 of these on. And then what should happen? I cross-threaded this one and busted the top off the nut. So, really frustrated. I blame Fehling for this. They failed. This really stinks. The rack is awesome. It's totally stable even without the one place on there. But the fact that I've got to drill that out and make it work somehow really pisses me off. So there she is. It's a sick looking rack. I really think it's the best looking rack you can get for this bike. But I'm ticked that the craftsmanship wasn't more spot on. Not that anyone's going to notice, but it's going to bug me that it's like that. It won't rattle or anything. It will hold weight. It's just really frustrating. Look at that. That's a great looking rack.